Welcome to the Centurion's Path, a podcast about the life and the trials and tribulations of those who serve. This podcast is about the heroes who protect our communities. To truly understand the path of the protector, tune in with AJ D'Andrea and John McDonald, two nationally known leaders who live the Centurion's Path every day.
Thank you all for joining us today. To our sponsor for today's podcast, Safe Haven Defense. Preserving property, protecting lives, providing peace of mind. Hi everybody, it's John McDonald with AJ D'Andrea. Welcome back to the 15th episode of the Centurion's Path podcast. Live from our studio in Columbia, Missouri, and AJ is in Central Command on top of a mountain in Colorado. How's it going out there?
It's the rally point, right?
Right, it is the rally point. There's no doubt.
We have the high ground, that's for sure.
When the world goes to hell, I'm coming there.
Right?
Yeah, that's called defensible space where you're at.
That is true. Yeah, that is true.
How you been,
buddy? I've been good. Crazy busy. I'm actually home for like the next 10 days, and I am loving the idea of that, although I'll be working and doing some things, but at least I'm here at home, which is nice. But good, and it's fall, best time of year, my favorite time of year. We got, football's going, CU excited for their game against Kansas here this next weekend, Kansas State this weekend, and hunting season's here, and weather's beautiful, although we could use some rain and not like the rain they got down southeast, but we could use some rain or even some snow. It's been so dry here lately, but things are good. How about you?
Good.
What's going on?
Been busy. I've got a lot of travel coming up. I'm in Texas quite a bit, Ohio, Vegas, just working here in Missouri, doing a lot of work, working on our new training facility that we're building. Things are going well. It's busy. We had 301 threats of planned school attacks throughout the state of Missouri in a 10-day period.
Oh my gosh.
It was exhausting for everybody. And, schools are really struggling and it's just tough to manage that environment, for kids, for educators, for parents. Navigating that is a challenge, especially when it's all happening so much. So, we've been super busy but doing good stuff. I was there a few weeks ago with you. Got to go to the CU North Dakota State game. We'll put a picture up today, so people can see us all decked out in our gear at the game. That was a lot of fun.
That was a good time. Yeah, with Mike and Brian as well, and it's those are good moments, for sure.
They are. We don't get enough of them, so
no, we don't.
I really enjoy it and need it. So, I've been thinking about, we don't have a guest today on this podcast. It's just kind of us talking. But one of the things I've been thinking about with our upcoming guests that we have coming on and the direction that this podcast is taking is a little different than we thought it was going to. We've spent a lot of time talking about mental health for first responders.
Right.
And I never imagined that we'd go in that direction like we have. But what we're getting in terms of feedback is, hey, this is needed. We need more of it. It gives us permission to talk. And I never quite saw us going that direction. But, that mental health issue and the work that you got to put in, is essential to everything that is done as a first responder.
Right. Well, it's part of that. It's part of that foundation, right? And I would have to agree with you. I would have never thought that not only has it been an emphasis on what we've been doing, but like you said, people are wanting more. And so I think we'll continue down that road as we move forward. Because like you said, it does give people, permission to be able to talk about it, to keep it at the forefront. Kind of takes away the taboo of that whole thing. And we talk about being ready, mind, body, and soul. And mind is the cognitive stuff, right? But the soul is that whole mental health and wherever you find yourself at. So absolutely, we'll continue doing what people want to hear. I think we've got few other guests down the road as well, where it won't necessarily be about mental health. It'll be about some other things.
Yeah.
But it's we kind of said that we were going to let this thing go down the path. It's the Centurions path, right? It's down the path that it kind of takes of its own with no agenda. So, but it's been quite interesting to me. But I'm with you though. The feedback that I've gotten probably parallels yours. People truly just saying, "Hey, thank you."
Yeah.
Thank you for having the conversation.
And it's been enjoyable. It's actually been a little emotional, a couple of episodes, just because the path that, and the struggle that it's been for so many brothers and sisters in this business. And that's heartbreaking, but it's also resiliency, I think, too.
Yes, totally.
So that's really good stuff.
Yeah. So at least I know our next guest will probably the next two will still have that component. Well, maybe not one of them, but it's kind of in that realm a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. So really quick, just kind of catch us up on the training center, on kind of where you're at and what you're comfortable talking. It's just such an exciting freaking endeavor. Just kind of catch people up, because I think a lot of people know that's your big emphasis right now.
It is. I'm pretty excited about it. It's really a legacy project, and I built the Frank DeAngelis Center for Community Safety in Colorado, and now that I'm in Missouri, taking a look at the world around us, it's changed a bit since we first created the DeAngelis Center, and really started thinking about, how do we build a comprehensive training center that emphasizes 21st century threats, and focuses on really the impact of everything from the future of AI threats to threat management to active shooter response altogether. And so we're building the first of its kind comprehensive training center that focuses on the intersection of where we're at with technology, where we're at with the active shooter response training tactics. Obviously, you're going to be a part of that. And we've got about a 40,000 square foot facility that we are in the process of moving forward and building. And the state of Missouri has stepped up. Missouri School Board Association has stepped up. We have national corporate Fortune 100 companies that we're working with on this project now that have stepped up. We're really excited about where this is going, and it's really the opportunity. I tell everybody this is a program called Show Me Safer Schools. We are the Show Me state here now that I'm here, and I think the road to school safety is going to go through the Show Me state in the future with this training center. So I'm really excited about it, and I think it's something that as I kind of end the last part of my career in the next 5 or 6 years, this is a program that'll be around for 20, 25 years. And that has great meaning for me. It's really about keeping kids safe and alive. And, as you've said so eloquently, and I've taken this from you in my presentations, every student that we've lost, every teacher that we've had taken from us in a school, they all deserve better than they got and better than we gave. So we had better step up, and we better be excellent at what we're doing here. Right. They deserve that. And it's that commitment, that foundation that, we're moving forward with. And so thrilled to be able to do this. And, it's just incredibly meaningful for me. So, it's good work. And, we'll have a cyber AI command center. We'll have a full-scale active shooter training facility. We'll have a threat management institute, all together in the same building, teaching our leaders how to manage critical incidents, really bridging that space between law enforcement and fire and schools, and how to work together, how to work better. And we've got you coming out in a few months to teach Rescue Task Force here in Missouri. We're excited about that. You're coming out again to do a presentation during a crisis emergency operations training with so far I think we're up to over 200 people that have registered. So leaders from around the state coming in to hear what you have to say. So make it good, will you?
Yeah, I'll try. Right, the pressure's on.
Right.
Pressure's on. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that trip. I'll be up in Anchorage, Alaska, and then of course the long flight to get down to spend time with you guys. But yeah, it's looking forward. I enjoy all those engagements. Just finished up with Illinois State Police on their promotional academy. So when they get promoted,
how was that?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, just you can't say it enough, and people get tired of hearing it. But just the greatest people that walk on the face of the earth, dedicated, understanding, what's in front of them, and just pushing forward and preparing. Yeah, it was a really engaging group, and I didn't get to spend as much time as I wanted to. It was one of those ones where I was in and out because I wanted to get back home. I've been on the road a lot, but got to see Brian Murphy, who was on our podcast.
Nice.
Yeah, he was presenting after me, and so
you'll be out here next week with us. So.
Yeah, he told me about that. He said he's really excited about that. So,
That's very cool. You were in DC, weren't you, with Madalena?
I was. We were. Tell me about that. We were actually at Quantico. Again, just a high honor. The FBI National Academy, and I've been doing a lot of work with the National Academy chapters across the country, which has been fun. Partly because you get to see guys that you went through the NA with. But again, it's just a great group of people to be around. But this one here, it was kind of dual purpose for me, really. High honor to have the National Academy actually reach out and want to have Madalena and I come and do our, one of our presentations. But it gave me also just a little bit of closure. For those that don't know, I went through the National Academy session 283, and I had to leave 2 days early. We were supposed to run the Yellow Brick Road on September 12th, and then graduation was September 13th, and this was 2022.
And what's the Yellow Brick Road?
The Yellow Brick Road is it's the Marine Corps' their main obstacle course that when they're going through their basic training.
Okay.
That they run. It's about a 6-mile obstacle course. And some of the bricks some of the rocks are actually painted yellow, and it looks like the Yellow Brick Road, but it's a lot of rope climbing, a lot of obstacles, a lot of running, a lot of water. It's kind of a big deal. And then when you complete it, you actually get a yellow brick, for completing it. I've got mine over here. I can grab it, which has your session number on it. But kind of a big deal, and it's how you kind of culminate those 10 weeks that you spend out there on that Marine base. But I had to leave early because September 11th, 2022, my friend and colleague Dylan Vakoff was shot and killed. And so didn't get to say goodbye to some of the instructors. And so for me, it was nice to be able to be back there, see some of the instructors, be able to say hi to them, say goodbye, catch up for a little bit. Got to be back in the auditorium. It was kind of a goofy thing. But my sessions class, all the men had cufflinks, and it had our set, it's the NA emblem with our session number 283 on it. And I never, I never wear cufflinks, when I'm presenting, but I got to wear them. And I told the group that, and they actually applauded, but that, finally get to be back here and got to wear my cufflinks, presenting. But it was, well received. There was a group naturally from Colorado and Wyoming that was there. It was good to see them. I knew a couple of those people personally. And it's just a good group to be around. And it was good for Madalena to be able to be there. And, she's really the heavy hitter when we do that presentation. So that was a high honor, but those are in and out. Got to stop and see my buddy Bob Blakely, who's assistant chief with Fairfax. I'll be in Fairfax in November doing a leadership course for their entire command staff, which is, again, another high honor. But got to stop and see him on our way out. We had a nice dinner and,
Nice.
Came back, hit the road running. And, most of my events were nice. The one that I did in Austin was a little crazy.
I'm glad you did that.
That you didn't come with me on. So.
I'm protesting that whole PBS organization.
Yeah. So
I
for
spent
the
hours and hours with them, and they decided to go in a different direction and never used a single piece of video after 7 hours of interviewing me on camera. And I just said, I'm kind of done with you, but I'm glad you did it.
Right. And to put it into context for those that don't know, this was about Uvalde. And I know this crew came out of Austin, flew out to Missouri, interviewed you and wanted your insights. They actually flew here, and mine wasn't 7 hours, mine was 6, but they sat right here in this office, and they didn't use anything I said either. But I feel a little bit different about it, because what they ended up doing, even though it was a lot of work and took a lot of time out of my day and everything going on, you try to be accommodating. The way that they went about the story was truly to hear from the officers that were there. Yep. And so for me,
and I was okay with that part.
Yeah. For me, I was like, I'm fine with that. And it probably ended up being a much more powerful story. I never watched it or listened to it, but I'm sure it ended up being a little bit more powerful. But the emotions down in Austin when I was there around this topic, brought me right back to Columbine, the emotions that we had then. And it's, again, it comes down to, screaming those hot button topics and people getting their camps. And we can't meet in the middle. And I hope that through my and it wasn't just me. There was a state legislator speaking on our panel. There was a uncle of a little girl that was lost at Uvalde. And then a friend of ours from the East Coast that she knows probably more about active shooters statistically than anyone that I know. So it wasn't just me, but tried to diffuse it a little bit away from, the screaming of gun control and the screaming of black, mental health, no gray area anywhere. And I hope that at least some of the people that were there found something to hold on to that maybe they can start building on right there in their community to kind of move forward,
Well, if anyone can have that conversation, you can. And you do it in a way that isn't threatening to people. It's just honest and comes from the heart, and it's real. And I think, if that doesn't come through, nothing else will. So it is emotional, right? I mean, this stuff, it's incredible. I just did an interview for 2 hours with John DeStefano, our former school board president in Jeffco, who was there during Columbine, talking about his lessons learned. And 25 years later, the emotions coming out, and the lessons learned were fascinating then because they have such relevance to today. And there's just such importance behind this whole thing, because as we know, these tragedies aren't stopping.
No.
And so it requires us to think a little differently than we have been, because we weren't great at recovery in the past, and we hate being good at it now, but it's the world we're living in. Right. And we better figure out not only response, but recovery.
Right. The thing that probably bothers me the most, that weighs the heaviest on me, is we're starting to, the lessons learned, we're forgetting those.
Yep.
And we're making the same mistakes and the same errors, and it's creating bigger problems. And so
I think because that generation that you started with is retiring and even dying off. And those lessons learned are not being captured and transferred to the new generation.
Well, they've been transferred. We've had the conversation. It's just as we distance from the event, they become less important, and they become cumbersome, and they become, maybe we actually lose the real understanding on why we do the things that we should be doing, right? And then it just turns around, and it's the same lessons over and over again. And so for that, you and I keep preaching the word, right?
We do. Preach on, brother. Preach on.
Anyone that's willing to listen, get in front of them and, have those conversations and get people thinking again about it, and really it's the small things. It's really not the big things. It's the small things, but unfortunately we're reliving those all over again,
But doing the small things really, really well makes a big difference.
Right.
I'm working on a program now called The First Five. What I've come to believe is that the first 5 minutes, the first 5 hours, the first 5 days, the first 5 weeks define your next 5 years.
Yeah.
What you do in those first 5 minutes defines living and dying. And then the next, 5 hours of that response really leads into, not only stopping the bleeding, stopping the dying, but starting the healing, going into the next, 5 days, 5 weeks, and that long-term recovery. And so I'm working on a program right now about the first 5, and we're going to be launching that very soon. Excited about it. I think it's really for leaders because we've been teaching bottom up. Right. We teach our kids what to do. We teach our educators. We teach our principals. Nobody teaches our leaders how to manage the crisis. So now, as you say, we're going to compress distance and time. Top down, bottom up, meet in the middle.
Right.
And so we're all on the same page. We need to have those conversations.
Yeah.
So it's still a good fight.
It is still a good fight, right? It is still absolutely gives us purpose and meaning, and maybe even more so, right?
Yeah, exactly. Let's take a break for a minute.
Yeah.
Preserving property, protecting lives, providing peace of mind.
So before we started, we were just kind of catching up a little bit, and you mentioned something a little bit scary, and I wonder, I don't want to press you too hard on any of this, but what you can speak about it. But talk to me about this 764.
Yeah, I got a call. I was having a call with the FBI. They said, "Hey, can we come brief your team on a problem that we're seeing around the country?" And they said, "Have you heard of 764?" And I had not. And the more I learn, the more terrified I am about it. It's really terrorism meets child exploitation and blackmailing online. It's really those people, that are going after kids on gaming platforms, on Discord, and they're finding disenfranchised kids that are, at the margin, are really struggling. Maybe they're being bullied. Maybe they have a bad home life. These kids get caught up in this ideological circle, and then these people are saying, "Hey, they're grooming them, and they're getting these kids to send sexually explicit photos to them, and then they use that to blackmail the kids to get them to commit acts of violence. This is what I understand this whole thing to be, and it's really becoming an issue worldwide, but it is an issue here in this country. And when you get a call like that, saying we want to come brief you because we're really worried about this. Hey, if you're worried about it, I'm terrified about it,
Right.
because that's a direct impact to our kids. So it goes back to that online behavior that is getting more complicated to manage. And, it's more of a struggle for parents to maintain control over their, kids' devices and behavior. You just can't moderate and regulate and what you don't know, what you can't see. And the way that they're grooming these kids through gaming platforms is really terrifying. So there's a ton of material about it as I dug into it on the internet. And, we're going to get a briefing here shortly. And, that allows us to then go out and train schools and first responders all over the state and across the country on, how do we identify those kids at risk? How do we stop this? And there's some components of this that are really worrisome that I'm not sure I want to talk about publicly, but certainly we'll talk about offline because, it's something that everyone ought to be really concerned about right now.
Are they, and when I say they, I'm talking about the FBI or whatever entity, is there some way to get like a public service announcement for parents? I mean, how are, it seems to me like that's something that should be a priority to get it out so the parents.
Yeah, I think that's one of the conversations we need to have is what does that look like?
Right.
I think you're spot on.
Yeah. Well, if it isn't one thing, it's 10, right? We always
no
say,
kidding.
Just another thing to be concerned about, especially with everything that's going on right now, in this country, from the big storms in the Southeast, and, thoughts and prayers are with everybody that's down there that had to deal with Helene and Martin.
Awful.
Or Milton, not Martin, Milton.
Yeah.
But our thoughts and prayers are with all of them to this just, we all know this. We've all lived it. The older you get, you expect it. But just the turmoil with the election and I don't even want to turn the TV on, all these ads, it just wears you out. It would be nice if the election season was shorter, but, that's never going to happen, right?
No.
Just the day-to-day crime and things that we're seeing. It's just a crazy time. And this is just one more thing, right? One more thing that we probably need to prioritize and find a way to get ahead of it if we can.
I've been obviously, like a lot of people, following the news of the hurricanes. And I can tell you, I'm really impressed with DeSantis and his team down in Florida. I know they've got a lot of experience doing this, but they, from what I can tell from afar, they run incident command as incident command should be run. And you don't see that often. Yeah. So, you see kind of the other side of it when things don't work and, people aren't following either the guidance or they don't have the experience or, the politics get in the way. I hate the politics of crisis.
Right.
It just sucks because you should just be managing the crisis. But it's hard to see some of this stuff and not call it out too.
Right. And,
we call it out when we see it because some of this is just not okay. So, I'm like you. Hearts and, thoughts and prayers go out to them, everybody that was impacted, and somebody that's worked a couple of hurricanes responses. That's challenging work, and these were monsters.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Without question. And again, from afar, it looks
Yeah.
like Santos and everyone that's there supporting him are doing an amazing job, And we have to realize, right? And we say this all the time, whether it's at the basic level of tactical training all the way up, but you never run a perfect operation. You can never do it perfect. And then you always have, the human element that, it throws that wrench into what you're trying to get accomplished. And some of that is people that refuse to evacuate, or maybe
Yeah.
they couldn't, or we couldn't get to them. And so there's always these things that allow you to, that slow you down. But it comes into, like, we talk about it's the actionable intel, right? What is actionable? And he does a really good job of managing those things, and it should be emulated for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's remarkable. I was thinking yesterday when I was hearing that there were mudslides, and I was remembering back a few years ago when we were dealing with that in Colorado.
Okay.
And I recall you had to climb a mountain to get home one night in the middle of the night,
I did.
knee deep in mud with a flashlight on your head. And that's pretty daunting anyway. And thinking about those people in North Carolina, knowing what you went through.
Yeah.
And I remember getting caught in floodwaters.
Yeah. I remember that as well.
Floating down the river.
Yep.
So,
yeah. And what I went through was nothing close to what they did, but to see the power of water and what it does. And, it's kind of an interesting thing, because we were teaching our first rescue task force evolution at the range. So we had firefighters there, law enforcement, and, a bunch of facades set up, not, but with fencing and things.
Yeah.
And it was pouring rain. I mean, I'd never seen rain like that in my life.
Yeah.
And that it rained like for 2 days, 3 days straight like that. And I'm coming home, and as I got to go up 5 switchbacks to get to my house. I do one of the switchbacks and look, and the road is gone. I mean, gone. And just scared me. My first thought was, did my daughters make it home? Or are they?
Yeah.
And so back down, looked. It didn't look like, didn't hurt anyone by any means. But yeah, then left my car in the valley, and luckily enough, I had a headlamp and had to trudge home. By the time I got here, my driveway was gone. I lost my culverts. I lost retaining walls. House was fine, but yeah.
How many hours did it take you to climb that mountain?
It wasn't that bad. It probably took me about an hour.
Okay.
But it was, there was a certain area where you had to go where you're knee deep in mud.
Yeah.
It probably wasn't the smartest thing for me to do, but I really had no other way. And so you're sinking in, right? So that was daunting. But once I got past that short area, then it was just, the road above was fine. So then I just followed the road home. But it was insane. I mean, you couldn't see, literally, you could barely see because the rain was coming down so hard, and I'm lucky I was paying attention, or I'd have gone right into that.
Wow.
Yeah. But
well, I want everybody listening to this to remember my mantra of life: water always wins.
Right.
People hear me say that all the time.
We were trying to get to, was it Outdoor Lab? Or I can't remember where you were going, but you had to try to get across which usually is just a little creek, and the waters rose up and pushed you in, right? Didn't it push you downstream a little bit?
Yeah, we were floating, and I got to the other side, and electrical lines are down, sparking, and I remember Sergeant Halverson say, "Well, do you want to die by electrocution or do you want to drown?"
And you're like, neither.
I'm like, "Oh, let's drown. It's electrocution's immediate." So go back through that water again, and some guys filming us and putting it up on YouTube going, "What are they doing?" And we had 149 kids that were trapped.
Yeah.
So we ended up coming on the backside of that mountain and using ATVs with the search and rescue guys and our own ATVs and bringing kids up one at a time for a couple of hours until we got everybody rescued. But yeah, nothing like what they're going through, but a little taste of what they went through. And it's just heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking.
So, Yeah, yeah, I don't know. We're just in a time and an era right now that everything feels uncomfortable. And the 2 assassination attempts, we haven't talked since then.
Right.
I mean, they're just head shaking, incidents that could have been terribly tragic, and I don't even want to think about what that would have done to this country. But we're a bad place right now. At least that's my opinion.
We are. And, there's still things to look forward to. There's still things to focus on. There's still, things to keep us motivated. But these are difficult times. These are difficult times. And, I don't want to change this whole topic of conversation, but, it's even the Secret Service not learning. We just talked about not learning lessons. Right. We talked about that in active shootings and the way that we go forward and we're relearning those lessons over again. Well, that's what complacency breeds, right?
Yep.
That's what not staying true and understanding what our mission is and moving forward. And you saw that with the Secret Service. And I have a lot of friends in the Secret Service and I have the utmost respect for them. And again, you can't question the courage. You hear me say that a lot in some of these things that go on, but you can question the tactics.
Yeah.
And those were both failures, both of those. And I think they're doing their investigations and, what they share with the public and what they share in-house will probably be 2 totally different things. But, yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I would hate to think what would have happened in this country had former President Trump been assassinated. And I don't care what side you're on. I mean, it would have been devastating. And I'm scared going forward.
You and me both.
They just arrested this guy from Afghanistan that came in, if I understand correctly, actually came in on a visa that was evacuated out of Afghanistan that they just arrested. We have other terror plots that we know that they've dealt with and assassination, around those, around assassination. And I'm just scared as we're moving forward.
Yep, I'm with you. As someone once told us, the world's not a scary place, but it's an uncertain place.
Right.
I would say we're trending towards scary at this point.
Yeah.
But maybe not. I hope we're not quite there yet, but I agree with you. It certainly is a whole lot scarier. And, for everybody out there, those words, see something, say something, hey, that's not just a saying. That's a way of life. That's actually doing something.
Right.
As our friend Dr. Nicoletti says, there's 2 types of people. There's the detectors and the disruptors. Everybody out there is the detector. You see something, you say something, those people that you say something to become the disruptor. Right. And, we follow that path. We follow your model of pie. Then we're going to do the right work. And I agree with you. I think complacency often gets us hurt and killed.
Yeah.
And, you've worked plenty of details with presidential level protection with the Secret Service when you were a SWAT guy.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked several myself when they would come to visit us in different settings and utmost respect for them. But at the same time, I think it's become complacency in a lot of different organizations, not just theirs, but in a lot of different organizations. And who's pushing? Because if you don't have somebody pushing, if you don't have somebody driving constantly and lifting it up and saying, we got to be better, we got to do better, this is not acceptable. I mean, your whole career was spent doing that. And I've gotten to the point in my career where I just say what I want to say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good place to be.
Good place to be.
Good place to be.
Yeah.
And hopefully you have adults in the room that actually listen, right? I mean, that's another part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's a good place to be.
But I just, okay, stop. Be excellent. That's what we need. Be excellent. Every one of us.
Yeah. Your adversary just has to be lucky. We have to be excellent. Period.
That's right.
Period. And calm the waters a little bit. Yeah, things are scary, that's for sure, right? But it's our job. It's our job to calm those waters, and across the board with the work you're doing, the work I'm doing, what law enforcement is doing, and it'd be nice if our politicians would try to calm that water a little bit on both sides, right?
Yeah. Well, it's yeah, it really would be. I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
No. Not in this environment.
Where we're at.
Yeah. Yeah.
The world loves it. They love to watch it, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It just spirals everybody up. You know what it reminds me of? Is those stories about the Colosseum back in, ancient Rome when they fought in the Colosseum and the crowd went wild watching.
Yeah.
And, the more violent it got, the more crazy the crowd went.
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels like that we're in this fishbowl, we're in this Coliseum, and all this is happening. Everybody's watching this, and you've taken one side or another, and there's nothing in between.
Exactly.
Oh,
yeah, that's a great analogy for sure.
Yeah. Well,
go ahead.
What else you got? Anything?
I don't think so, man. Spent the morning on the range with, again, just some highly dedicated, individuals getting ready, preparing for their given day. Always impresses me when you get to spend time with people that are motivated and, not complaining, not, just there to do their role and their job. And it was wonderful. And we'll be with the second half of that group on Monday morning. So looking forward to that.
Give them all hugs for me.
I will. Yeah. I will tell them that you said hello. In fact, they always ask me, "Did you talk to John lately? Did you talk to John?" But no, that's it. Just happy to be home for a few days, and staring at the end of October and November and December, and knowing that it's going to be busy. I'm actually going to try and pump the brakes just a little bit in January.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Just pump the brakes, and I've tried to keep that calendar a little bit clear, which
good for you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. So hopefully there's a lot of snow here in Colorado, and It's actually winter. It's so dry here right now. It's scary. But
yeah, we're in a drought here, and it's not pleasant to see.
You in a drought? Every time I talk to you, it's raining 10 inches.
I know. We've been in a drought for like 2 months now. I've had 43 inches of rain at my house.
It's insane.
This, and they say, "Oh, it's not enough."
Yeah,
that's a lot of water to me. I mean, I came from Colorado, where you get 4 inches a year, and you go, "Woo!"
Exactly. It's like the average, 12 inches. Yeah. So,
yeah.
How about you? What do you got? We'll wrap this thing up. But
yeah, I'm heading to Houston. Going to be presenting with the good Dr. Nicoletti at a national conference. I think you're doing the same thing with him the week before I'm in Houston with him. I think you're at IACP, the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'll be at IACP with him and Frank DeAngelis.
Yeah,
we're speaking on that last Tuesday. So looking forward to that, and then
be good.
There, heading to North Carolina. We're supposed to be in North Carolina this week, actually, and naturally because of the hurricane, they canceled it.
Yeah,
and I'm surprised they got it rescheduled so fast. But yeah,
well, good. I'm glad they did too.
Yeah.
Well, sure, great to see you, and for everybody listening to the podcast today, thanks for tuning in. And you want to close it out for us?
I will. So, and we both got our mugs today. So Here we go. So to us and those like us, the Centurions, damn few left.
Damn few left.